be able to make sense of it. So, and that's open source. Really cool. So.
No, I mean, Rich, and I think that's. I mean, how you doing, Travis? And how you doing, Nathan? You all right, man? Sorry, we were just having a bit of a pre-podcast kind of open riff sort of session. So
I'm so sorry I'm late. I can stay after. I don't, depending on time. Let me know. I got stuck. I'm in the process of securing fiber optic internet connection.
Man, go on.
I hear like an echo.
Yeah, sorry, man. I heard an echo. Is everyone fine now?
It's fine now.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, man. Go on. Go on, Travis.
Yeah, I'm just in the final phase of securing a place where I've got a direct fiber connection to the internet. So it'll be scalable to 10 gigabytes.
Dang.
Up and down. Second.
No, so like I was saying, I mean, one of the things I'm quite willing to sort of talk about, and it sort of like stems really from a conversation I was just saying to Rich. I had him with David the other night on a podcast, David Jackamack, and one of the things we were talking about, and that's why I'm quite willing to open this up, this is what we and Rich were talking about beforehand, was basically opening the discussion up with the idea of making the barriers to using the SAFEnetwork and using SafeCoin and farming, etc., as easy as possible. And the barriers that are there at the moment are, which we know about, basically to be able to use stuff on the network. It's about having SafeCoin, and it's making the ease of use to SafeCoin. So I just wanted to really kind of like throw this idea out there, and as I was saying, that's what I was saying to you, Rich. I've got many ideas about how we can make this as easy as possible for everybody to be able to have some SafeCoin, and not just people who have bought some in the crowd sale. So I have some ideas, and I'll be open to sort of kick this off to really to sort of hear anyone's opinion to generally what the worries they have about the barriers to distribution of SafeCoin and getting onto the SAFEnetwork, and sort of any ideas they make that we can sort of discuss about how to make this easier and more possible, because I think it's essential.
I think we need to look at how it's been done already successfully with the Bitcoin faucets, and like I was saying, all the other faucets created for cryptocurrencies. But having a way, like on a business card, like you're thinking, or the mini magazine, that you pass it out like among your good friends that are already interested in it, because I mean, I guess you could give it's just like giving a private key to somebody and saying, hey, there's $10 on here, and then you can always go back and check, did they actually use it, or is it still sitting there? Because you could always then, if they're not going to use it ever, then you can just take it back. So you got to think of a way to do it in a way that you're not like throwing SafeCoin into the ether.
No, Richard, that's go on, Travis.
So I, not this Christmas, but the Christmas before, I handed out certificates. So I created, I think it was the Travis Trust token on Counterparty, and basically it's this little certificate. Here's 100 SafeCoins. So when the network went live and the people had SafeCoin wallets, then they would be able to redeem. They just send me the token back, and then I would send SafeCoin to whatever wallet address they gave me. So that way, probably half the people I gave probably 10,000 SafeCoins worth out to family and friends, and probably half of them have lost those little certificates, but there's no actual value that's been lost.
Right.
And so, having kind of a intermediary, I think, would be helpful, and that's part of where I see, as you have different projects and they're doing crowdfunding, crowd sale type things, they all have their own tokens, similar to what SafeX has done. So then those tokens can be for SafeCoin or whatever other thing of value that whatever project is bringing to the table.
Yeah.
Hi, Daniel. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, you could hear me?
Yes, my friend.
Cool.
How are you guys doing?
Really good, really good. We're just discussing kind of ways and means of trying to make entry to the Safe network as easy as possible, and getting rid of those barriers that stand in the way. And we were
Yeah,
just discussing then about trying to get SafeCoin distributed as much as possible, and so it's not just held in the hands of a few.
yeah. So on the forum, on the SafeX forum, someone was asking about a ticker for how much does a SafeCoin buy you in data. So I was suggesting it's probably going to be unnecessary, my methodology, probably after like hearing about it. You spend SafeCoin and see how much data you were able to buy, and just for the sheer fact to see how much data costs, you could spend SafeCoin, and then that creates an event where someone can store information, or anyone. So what I'm saying is you can make a faucet for people's information. So in other words, no one else has to spend the SafeCoins. Just we're automatically going to spend SafeCoin to get the ticker to see how much space we can get for a SafeCoin. And now at that moment, someone can store any information that they want. So like that's like one way to give free storage. And then another way is to just make a faucet. Someone just funds an account, and we create a captcha that we'll give away at a certain rate, and we're going to know exactly what that captcha is going to give us. Like if you could solve this captcha in 1 minute, then every minute someone in the world is going to be able to get the SafeCoin out of it. But if we make it like you got to do a 20-minute thing, then we know every 20 minutes at least some people are going to be getting SafeCoin. So we can figure out how long that faucet will last and how many coins people can take deliberately and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I thought that would be one way. And then the other more important thing is having the client interfaces designed so that they're easy to use by the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I was just mentioning then, Daddy. I mean, just in the basis of I was just saying like designing a user interface, like for saying like N99. I'm thinking of the cockpit idea, and I'm thinking that taking the idea of it being a cockpit for a vehicle, for a portal to get onto the network, we could basically, same we had to use it as a car. Have a car, we could fill it up with some petrol, and put some some SafeCoin in it, and then the ignition key. That's what I'm saying. We would, how could we make it really easy? We could find really easy ways where people could pick up. You give it to them and say, look, if you go and do this, bang, that's your car. Yeah. Off you go with it. And that's a way I think, like you said, of get the point I'm trying to make is I really think it's crucial that we need to, at this point where we are, in the network where we are testing, is making it that in 5 years' time it's as easy as to get SafeCoin as it is going to be this year.
Yeah.
So drive your car down the N99.
Yeah.
See how much media it can get you.
No, I mean in the sense. I mean, you could apply this to any app. What I'm trying to say, any app really that's going to be on the Safe network, Travis, is you could have basically that. It's basically something like Danny was saying. You can open a faucet, and to the person to open that faucet, you could hand them a piece of paper in the street, or give them a series of colours and words, and say, if you go to that place, and that's going to open up your key to that place, and then they've got used to that SafeCoin, and then it encourages them to use it. That's the point I'm trying to make. So it's on a day-to-day level. So I can walk down the streets in my supermarket, and rather than having to explain to someone like, this is how you open a wallet, and this is how you do that. So it's a very simple colour word combination, or like Rich was saying, add some shapes in it, and then everybody can do it, and then anybody can go along, open the faucet, and use what they want to do, whether it's on N99 or any of the apps. That's what I'm saying. Then it encourages people to use SafeCoin. That's the point I'm doing. Then any app could open any faucet and put as many of these faucets all over the place just to seed the place. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and the app developer coin could automatically deposit into the faucet and keep the whole thing going forever. Yeah. So yeah, you can know it'll be an eternal flowing coin operation because it replenishes from the app. People use the app with the replenishment, and the whole cycle, flips back on itself all over again. You know, people spend it, it comes back to them. People use the app, they spend the coin, it comes back to them from the app, and just keeps going in that cycle. Yeah.
That kind of, I was thinking, okay, how you were talking about CAPTCHAs, and earlier before we went on, I was talking about something being created by DARPA called MEMX, and then TensorFlow by Google, DARPA's MEMX is supposed to work in the darknet, and it's supposed to be like the best search engine ever created, basically sifting through absolutely all the content on the internet. And I was thinking, well, if it's doing that, maybe it's also picking up like the hashes that are related to publicly available immutable data on the MadeSafe network. In which case, you know, once it gets the hash and then it goes and it opens up the program because it's a public hash and it can look at it. I guess it'd have to have like a MadeSafe interface client and just so that it could see, okay, it's a picture file. It opens up the picture, and then it uses AI like Google's TensorFlow, which is open source, and it says, okay, that's a picture of a mountain. And it starts categorizing and adding tags to all of the photos that are on the publicly available MadeSafe data. And same with the text. It would go through the text and basically, because via the syntax and the words and whatever, it would say, okay, this is about a film, this is about this or that. And then after it's cataloged all these things, it would be nice to have a way to then push that data out to people who could then further catalog it, adding more tags. So somebody might recognize that, oh, that's Mount Fuji, or that's this, or this is the high desert, and adding more tags to it. And instead of like a CAPTCHA, you could have a CAPTCHA tied to also a brief description of what they're looking at. I'm just thinking of ways that would actually help build the, I guess, the searchability of the network as far as the immutable data goes that's publicly available. Some way to incentivize that building of the network in a way that's useful. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's off topic or whatever. I guess nothing's off topic here, but you know what I mean.
No, that's definitely a requirement to be able to like index all the publicly available data. Like for example, in the SAFEx, we want to archive all the publicly available data so that we can get the order book information. So we need that like to convey the information about what the bids and asks are for individual products. So, like in that regard, you know, you could say that we're aggregating for the AI for automatic trading strategies as well, and then you could use the same mechanism for other things as well.
Right. I didn't realize that you're going to be doing like an index of all the publicly available mutable data. That's cool.
Well, for trading,
Right.
He's cloning himself.
For trading.
I don't know if that was just me, but that was almost like a Matrix moment then, like, you know what I mean? We had a sort of like a glitch.
Yeah, there's a glitch in the Matrix there. Just went look around. I think he's got to work on his clone. He's got to upgrade his clone software.
To be able to still talk on the phone, I have to actually step out for like 20-30 minutes I gotta take a trade right now, so I gotta step out for like 20-30 minutes. So someone's waiting on something, so I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
So you got 10 gigabyte connection now, huh?
Yep. I just went and looked at the space and kind of getting everything set up, and just have to sign on the dotted line and finalize it. I'm going to start out with a gigabyte per second. It's obviously much cheaper, but it's straight fiber, so it's scalable to 10 right now, and then 100 and kind of whatever.
Somebody help me out with this. I understand that MadeSafe is being developed in such a way to where only 100, is it 100 megabytes of data on a hard drive is, it's like basically saying, okay, if a computer has 20 terabytes, it's not any more likely to get SafeCoin than a computer that only has 100 megabytes dedicated. And is that right? Something along that line?
Yeah, I think the vaults are, how many vaults are running, just with each vault increases the probability that you'll win the lottery.
Each vault, okay. And so one of the ideas you have is that if people are interested in being farmers and they want to buy a small computer like a Raspberry Pi that's hooked up with the amount of RAM and all the necessary bandwidth or abilities to whatever to hook up to your bandwidth, right? Is that what?
Yeah. So I'm gonna use the bandwidth in several different ways. I'm gonna rent the bandwidth. So if someone just has terrible access and they want to do testing on different farmers, and yeah, so I'll lease out or rent the bandwidth so they can run their own farmers. And then I'm also going to have an upload business, so people will pay to upload their data to the network. And then I'll also have my own farming system. And we're still finalizing how we'll do it. I won't give away all the surprises, but yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, that is cool. I live in 1.5 megabyte land per second.
And that's where most people live in 1.5 megabyte land. So Utah was one of 3 places in the West. I think there was 2 in California, and then Utah pretty much was the only for the ARPANET or the internet, the pre-internet. So we've just always had kind of this tradition of being cutting edge, bleeding edge in network technology. So since I live here, I'm going to take advantage of it.
Right, for sure.
Did everybody see the YouTube clip that was put up on the message board about the Rita? You know, the machine that's basically going to compress everything by 99%. I mean, what are our thoughts on that?
I actually just watched a video. I think it was put out like 2 or 3 years ago, talking about technologies that would have changed the world, and that was one of them. And the guy who came up with this was actually shot or had a heart attack in his backyard the day he was supposed to turn over the device and sell it. I guess he was selling it to a data company or something, and he actually ended up dead. And it's on YouTube. I'll try to bring it up. There are some other really super awesome devices. Like one of them was I won't go into all the other devices, but yeah, that's all I know about that. So Rita is going to compress all the YouTube content down 99%. Is what you're saying? Which means that you could download it.
See it. We'll never see it. We'll never see it. As soon as I watched the clip, and as soon as they had their big proprietary algorithm, I immediately knew we'll never see the light of day of it, because proprietary, they've already been sold down that river that they're going to be rich and wealthy, and they will either be rich and wealthy or dead, and,
right.
And the world will never get the technology. So, you know, open source, really, if you're working on a project like that does 99% plus compression, you better do it open source to protect yourself for sure.
Right.
But that's the same with everything, though, Travis. I mean, that's just a general warning for that. And again, I mean, as we all know, I mean, it's only going to be an inevitable amount of time before that kind of compression rate is just standard on the Safe network anyway, because you know the exponential rise of users is going to make more and more computing power, and more computing power is going to come up with solutions that make our 99% compression rate seem nothing.
Here, I'm going to post a link to that video here on YouTube so y'all can check it out later.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. I'd love to see it, but I don't think we will. I think the video was a year ago, and I haven't heard of anything of it. This is the first I've heard of it.
Huh. I'm still, yeah, how would you do that? That's just, I guess Anyway,
happy meeting was talking about using Prime. Something to do with using Prime as part of the compression and whatnot. That's way out of my knowledge base, though.
Yeah.
But I really liked. Oh, I can't remember the name of the show. Was it Silicon with the Pied Piper, where this developer had created the compression thing? It's really fascinating to see their journey of they come up with this amazing idea. It's going to be amazing for the world, and then just all of the roadblocks and just getting it out to the world. And it's a fascinating show.
Wow.
Well, Travis, I mean, that sort of plays into, and it sort of ties back to what we were saying earlier on. I mean, this is, again, I mean, I know you touched upon it again before, but this is what I love about, your whole idea of Safe Crowd, the whole idea of, coming up with solutions to do that in a completely decentralized manner where, because this is what I've always found the barrier, and I don't know whether it's been the drive behind what you're doing, but there's so many people I know that maybe don't have, let's just be real about this, maybe not have all of the so-called, etiquette or the right words, or they have a different way of thinking, and they're always, the barriers are between, but what I love about, and as I see it, as I understand what you're building, or aiming to build, is that anybody can come along, and that's the point, as long as they can have an idea that basically it will fly the wind. Well, they can test it and see what it's going to like in the real world, and I think that's a really giant step forward, because there's so many ideas, and one of the things about puts people on crowd sale and Kickstarters and stuff like that. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people even the last 2 weeks. It's the idea that it suddenly becomes the majority want to rule what you're doing, and they decide what you're doing, and whereas your one's completely the other way around. This is the idea. Do you like it or not? That's again.
Yep. Agree with you 100%. It's, you can choose. And the different projects I've talked about over the last year or two, however long it's been, through the way I've come across multiple people that are willing to fund the whole thing and be rich and wealthy and all this, but I know it's not real. And that's a lot of people haven't, I guess, seen behind the curtain. And once you see the strings, though, you can't unsee them. And so I'm not distracted by the glam of money, I guess. I don't see it as ethical. It's just the smart way to go too. I mean, build something that helps out the world and empowers the person. It's going to help the world, and it's going to help me in a real way, a sustainable way, rather than just smoke and mirrors and numbers that people make up and control.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully as well. I mean, Travis, I remember ever since you announced this and you mentioned this. I mean, my head's just been sparking with loads of thought processes behind it, and I don't know. Maybe in time there'll be, and that's just how I maybe envisioned it. That even around the idea of your crowd safe, if you see it as like a little island, with loads of little boats and businesses all doing trade around it, with people like, okay, I've got an idea, and there'll be people going, okay, I can implement that, and then I can put that to the crowd sale in a way that it's going to be understood by those people. And it's almost like you're almost building a whole ecosystem, there and then, and that's what I really like about it, because as I see it, I think if it, like again, it plays what we're saying, if you can make it easy to use, and that anybody can come along with an idea, and then someone can feed the chain between that and it getting, into the crowd sale space, I think that's really, again, a huge step forward.
Yeah, people are going to have a direct ability to invest and participate in projects that they want and believe in. And taking the middle person out is just going to have it grow that much more efficiently and really produce products that people need. Yeah. So no, people to get into the Safe Network, it's got to be easy in every facet. So from the developer side, it's got to be easy for them to make the switch, to learn a new language. And when it comes down to it, you do need funding at a certain level. That's what language everyone speaks currently. And so you have to build as many bridges from the old world and the world that we all see that's coming. And yeah, so I plan on, I'm not going to make any money off of CrowdSafe. I still didn't know exactly how it's going to all work, but I plan on not making any revenue from it. I plan on not making any revenue from, the SafeCrypt offline drive. You have to have ways for people to just buy into this without a lot of investment, make a change.
I do like the idea of bounties, like in a crowdsourced way, like where you, just like you made with your SafeCoin token that you gave to your friends and family. I say, okay, you can exchange this for 100 SafeCoins after the network goes live, and just creating those tokens for projects where you could have a group of like-minded people that say, we really want to see this done, and if you have a couple of people with some programming experience, they could say, well, a project like that would take one person 6 months, it would take a few people, 4 months, and it approximately cost this amount, and where you have something that's kind of crowdsourced, but in such a way to where with a smart contract, they buy the coin, but it's locked into escrow, and if nobody comes along and says, I'll do this, then after a certain amount of time, they can turn around and they can either sell their coin to somebody else that is still interested in the project, or they can just sit on it, or but in the basic idea is that people keep buying into that project until, voila, there's enough coinage in the project to attract a programmer. And
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, so when are you gonna put a bounty project on CrowdSafe?
Yeah. Smart contracts have to come along a ways for a while, because that's really crucial to this, where people can say, I have my money locked into this contract for X amount of time, and then after that amount of time I can sell it. Or you can just make it to where they have that token, and as long as they have that token, they can turn around and sell it at any time, because it's proof that funding went to that. But the bottom line is that you have this scale that is there, and you see, okay, hey, they only need another few $1,000s, and then we can reach a point where this programmer over here said he would do the project for $25,000.
Yeah, I really like that angle. I've never thought of it in that way. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, and that's really an idea from Adam B. Levine. He's kind of hammered that idea with Tokenly, and he thinks that auctions are, or crowdfunding. Actually, that was his idea of crowdfunding. So, but there's so many different ways you go around it. But the bottom line is that you're never out your money. You can always turn around and sell it on the open market, on the Safe Exchange, because the Safe Exchange, well, I guess, will operate like Poloniex. Is it Poloniex or Poloniex? I always call it Poloniex, and then I hear some people calling it Poloniex.
Tomato.
Tomato. I think Poloniex sounds cooler, so I'm going to keep calling it that.
Rich, I was about to say, I'm the last person in the world to ever ask about English. I can't even speak it. It's my first language, mate. So don't ever ask me about what pronunciation is, mate. So man, one of the things that I kind of I think it's one of it's been a discussion that's been on the forum a bit recently, and it seems to be like, I don't know if I'm just one that I seem to have this impression that it seems to be there's people who are really optimistic, and they think it's all going to be bells and whistles by February, and it's all going to be yay, and there's other people that, for instance, I put something out the other day on the forum and about this next year promises to be a momentous year, and people were coming back with really negative comments like, oh yeah, it'd be 2018, and I just wondered. Now I have my own opinions, and I speak them enough and stuff like this, but I mean, I'd love to open this up and see what do you actually think for this year. I mean, what do you think are the positives and the negatives, because people seem to be falling on two sort of camps, and I just wanted to know, you're both kind of involved in stuff. I mean, I know Rich, and you've been here for a long time, and I know Travis, you've been involved for a long time. So what do you sort of, and we can never predict the future, but I'm not asking you to predict the future, but what do you sort of feel this year holds for for SafeX and Safe Exchange and just general where we the whole thing?
You said two camps. I think there's actually three camps now. There's a couple of posters on there. I think I figured out who's paying their bills to spend time on there, because they're not interested in the Safe Network, and they definitely aren't interested in it going live. and they're spending a lot of time in posting. And so, you know, we've been joined by a third party or parties. So there's that to consider. But yeah, I really hope 2016 is the year. That's what I've been setting everything up. It will definitely set me back as a developer of multiple projects if I don't have a functional network by 2016. However long it takes, though. I mean, it's that big of a deal. I'll wait however long it takes, but I'm hopeful.
Nice, Rich.
Yeah, well, you know, I think you and I are in it for the long haul too. We're just, I don't honestly, you know, this is as long as I can be relatively certain that there's a guy named David Irvine still cranking on the code, and along with a handful of other guys, I'm going to be cheerleading, right? Because the world needs something like this, and as long as there's a few people still working on it and making it happen, you know, trying to figure it out. And it really seems like, you know, there's a lot of people behind this. I mean, so many people that don't really say much on the forum, so many people that don't come out, they don't care to have their face out in the open. And so I really believe, you know, there's going to be multiple made safes, perhaps, you know, because, I mean, they made it to where, and David Irvine's very happy about that, right? They made it to where this is not only going to be a network that keeps your data safe redundantly, but it may be a network that's forked multiple times and is redundant itself. So this is going to be, it's going to be cool. I don't really see anybody ever catching up to MadeSafe right away. You know, it's like Bitcoin has the first mover advantages of its kind. There is nothing else out there like MadeSafe, from what I can see. You know, they're working on a programming language that didn't exist a year and a half ago. I mean, it's a completely new platform on a completely new language, and basically, I wouldn't doubt if the majority of Rust at some point is being written by MadeSafe developers or people working on SAFEnetwork applications. And you know, so I think that's kind of my take on it. Yeah, again, like I don't know. I kind of thought that we would have had something to play around with, you know, a few months ago. But you know what? I'm not going to make that many speculations. I feel strongly something's going to be available in the first quarter. They may not have SafeCoin integrated into it because they have to put this stuff out, you know, in different. You know, they put out the initial client software that just allows people to store their stuff, but then later on comes the SafeCoin, and then after that you'll have people building on top of with the APIs. So who knows? I'm gonna hope by the end of 2016 there's something that we're all playing around with on our computer, but it may happen a lot sooner. I mean, I think it's one of those things that it's like, okay, here it comes, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. So, but at some point it's got to happen because, you know, there's just he's inside of here. I have a friend visiting. So. Anyway, that's that.
No, I mean, Rich, I mean, I'm sure you know the phrase. You know, the first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then they realise that we've already won. And I think we're on those 4 lines. We're at the they're ignoring us. I mean, the first few people, like you said, Travis, it's like the beginning of a chess game. The first few people are starting to stick their heads across, and I mean, it's amazing. I'm like you, Travis. I've had people come back to me with comments from like 2-3 years ago, and it's like, whoa, you know. But like you say, that's inevitable. We're gonna get the pushback at some time. But I just think by the time we get the pushback, like I say, the minute they fire us, they've already lost, man. You know, because it's at that point, it's a different thing. I have more concerns about, and I don't know how much you know how you two feel about that, or you three feel about that. I have very much concerns about what the state are going to be trying to do this year. I think there's going to be some really big pushback from. I mean, over here we've got the Snoopers Charter, as they like to call it, where they want to come and, you know, push that through Parliament. I know over there you've got, you know, Obama's trying to push things through, and that's one of the things I think we may get a pushback this year. There might be a lot of state intervention in trying to shut this down. But again, as I say, by the time they fight us, they can't hold this back. As you said, Rich, it's just a way. It's like you said. Exactly. It's like Rich said. We're standing at the beach and we've got the shore lapping at our feet. We know the ocean's coming. They can't stop it. It's like you said, Travis. It's too late.
They'll just actually push the water faster. They'll just bring everyone faster to the MaidSafe or Safe Network.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that the other day. I listen to Bitcoin Uncensored every now and then because those guys they're the most irreverent couple of guys doing a podcast on the internet, and they're always making fun of, it doesn't matter who it is, Tony Gallippi, Adam Levine, whatever, just tearing them up. But they said something that I think is true, and that is if they made Bitcoin outright illegal, it would probably in some way strengthen it in a way that it could not be strengthened otherwise. It'll be the underground currency. It'll be you'll have people working specifically on how to be absolutely anonymous, so that because if it's illegal in your area, you don't want to be caught with it on your computer. Blah blah blah. So yeah, if they tried to completely shut it down, first of all, it's not in their benefit because I really honestly think that the most intelligent people who are looking at all the emerging technologies that are working at DARPA or wherever, they probably see this as the natural progression of human evolution, because it is something that's going to make information storage data completely secure, completely hardened, and that'll benefit them as much as it will anybody else. And so I see the nation states, they'll be using it like everybody else will. And just like with anything else, if there's illegal activity on it, they'll just have to do good old forensics work to, after the fact, whenever they catch up to somebody who was doing something that was illegal in that jurisdiction. So,
Rich, are we talking about the same state that can't keep drugs out of prisons?
Well, they're not trying to, and that's the point. We like talking about that, but the drug, the state of drugs,
That's not the goal.
No, but I'm saying, man, what I'm trying to say, Rich, they got no chance. The state can't keep drugs out of prisons.
No.
How are they ever going to hold back anything else? That's the point I'm making.
Right.
Even the walls they build, they can't keep out something that they call illegal. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if they tried, but I think ultimately, I really don't see them trying to stifle it, or maybe they'll give some lip service to a few people who are angry about some of the things that happen, because immutable data is a bit of a scary thing. It is. You put something out there, you put something 10 times worse than the anarchist cookbook out there, that makes it really easy for people to make huge things explode. That is a scary thought. But there's ways of dealing with there's ways of going about making society more peaceful. Like the idea, the guy who created, there was a documentary on a device that basically takes any kind of water and makes it pure again. Mm-hmm. And it was made by the same guy who created that scooter. What is it called? The Segway. Mm-hmm. And he basically said this. He says, "Why do we have a Department of War? Why if at least can't we also have a Department of Peace? Instead of going out there and creating mayhem, just start to do something that just creates peace among people." But I mean, I think for a conspiracy theorist like myself, we know that ultimately there's another level that doesn't want peace, because chaos creates profit for them, and that's not going to go away until those dark energies subside somehow. But that's the beauty of MaidSafe. It levels the playing field on a huge way across the land, across the world. Well, I'm going to be really interested to see just exactly how SafeCoin value plays out, because I know it's supposed to be independent, right? I mean, so you want to use SafeCoin to buy 100 megabytes of storage. Okay, so if for whatever reason you could have somebody in the market who decides, I want to buy up $1 million worth of SafeCoin. Does that mean that 100 megabytes of storage goes nuts? So there's going to have to be, how are they going to tie the value of SafeCoin to 100 megabytes of data? because that means somebody in the market could completely screw with somebody's ability to purchase space on MadeSafe. If MadeSafe is on a market, right? It could. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I know that Daniel's thought a lot about this. I'm sorry, David Yamanaka. This is have either of you two kind of thought about that and how that would play out?
Well, you're trying to think about it in a centralized mining way, because that's the closest comparison we have. But the SAFEnetwork is going to be giving safe coins out to the world. That even the single individual with the 15 kilobyte per second connection, they theoretically could still earn some safe coin. And so
Right.
it's constantly going to be recycled and distributed. So yeah, someone could buy a million worth, and although when you've got 4 billion potential, and then you can exponentially break that down into 4 billion parts for each coin, it's almost as close to limitless as you can get, and so it scales. So
Right.
someone could temporarily disrupt things, but people are still going to be getting safe coin. And then there's lots of people in the world, like myself, that whatever the value is, I'm still going to be giving it away, because the value is in bringing the world on a network that is about privacy, security, and freedom. And so, a world that we were talking about, with the dark side of the world, I think the Department of War will go away when profits are no longer valuable. That's the key. So, they can spend $1 billion to try to disrupt it, but I don't think you'll be able to beat the system in that way. It can scale and adjust and adapt. It'll only be just a drop in the bucket, I think.
I guess what I'm wondering is what would, in your mind, be the factor that makes it a stabilized currency, or more stable than, I guess the more, huh?
No, I was going to say. Rich. I think that's back to what we maybe just started this whole conversation with. That's getting SafeCoin out there and distribute. Because the more it's distributed, the value doesn't have to be valued against anything. Only what the value of what it's needed. It's the analogy, like if you're on a beach and someone at the end of the beach has got a 5 litre gallon of water, and you walk up to them with $20. That person goes, what's $20 going to get me? But if he needs a pair of trainers and you take your trainers off, that has value, and that's what I think will give SafeCoin value in the end. It will be, and this is the other thing I was trying to lead into because will be the distribution of it and people's use of it, because they can then use it for any other means, like Travis was trying to say, other than just money. I mean, SafeCoin can have value for whatever it could be. You can swap it and trade it for anything you like. It's like, that's the whole point. It's value to whatever the person at the other end requires it to be. And I think one of the things as well, this is why I want to have this discussion, because I think one of the things I've seen in Bitcoin is you're seeing now almost like the centralization of a decentralized product, because all the machines now, it started off where it was easy to go on Bitcoin, and now to farm a Bitcoin, to mine a Bitcoin, sorry, and now it's how much. Travis was mentioning how much did it cost you to get your ASICs, man? It cost you a fortune, and by the time you did it, the Bitcoin was
yeah,
exactly.
I lost probably $1,000. I maybe made $200 from it.
Which is the point, and that's happened because, and the way we can stop that, and which is linked in about keeping the SafeCoin value, is making it where it's an everyday product, which is what David Irwin said. He always wanted it to be aligned to cash, that it would be just out there, being nobody owns the £5 but it's all out there and anonymous, and it's being circulated. That's going to be I think one of the big hurdles we're going to have to get over, is getting it out and into circulation. David Yakamaka mentioned the I think it was Dogecoin that they end up printing loads and loads, and they pumped out loads and loads and loads of them, and they had those pushed back by people saying to them, but it's just going to be an endless bubble. But as David said, it got people using Dogecoin a lot, And that's the same with SafeCoin. We need people out there using the SafeCoin. I mean, that's, to me, is the most imperative thing, rather than, and I think that will give it value, because if people know it's got value, and that's what I love about the SafeX and stuff, because people know that it's got value in the real world, and they can start paying their bills and petrol and buy their shopping with it, and let alone all the other potential for it, then it's going to have, that's the epoch moment. That's the moment when everyone go, wow.
Yeah, that's why my question is, like, we know it'll have value right out of the gate, just because it allows you to purchase immutable memory that's basically theoretically going to be there forever, and that's a really wild idea. And so right out of the gate, it's going to be absolutely valuable. The question, I guess, it'll be valuable based on how many people are using it and how many applications are made to make it more useful, is the bottom line. And markets will adapt to that. And once it's a big enough, and once you have way more people using it for its actual usability, and not as many people using it as an investment or a way to play around with the markets, I think that's when it'll, I guess, find its true, like, I guess, its true path. But here's the thing, though. The beauty of it is not only is it going to be used for memory, it's going to be used for processing power at some point. So then you're talking about amazing technologies that are going to basically, like the scanners. Have you seen that little scanner that you hook it up to your phone? I think they're doing it at Indiegogo right now, and it has a little laser line, and it scans your face on from 3 different sides, and then it creates a 3-dimensional picture of you, which you can then share like you can any picture online. It's really awesome. But I think about stuff like that, and some of the technologies going forward are going to be so, I don't know, the necessity to be able to access a global computer that can process the shit out of anything is going to be something that might be in high demand, and things that we haven't thought of yet that we'll need super fast computing for, or at least shitloads of processing power for. I don't know. I'm going off a little bit. Lately I've kind of been on a binge looking up all of the latest technologies coming out, like the graphene idea. I brought it up last time, and that thing that just blows my mind. I mean, they're saying that a battery the size of a cell phone would be able to power a jet. You would be able, you can. I don't know if y'all have looked into it much, but it's definitely a fun technology to look into and start to think, how is this going to change everything and going forward? And the truth is, when we all are wearing, I know some of us don't like the idea of it, and sometimes I don't, but we still do it. We wear a computer. We usually have our cell phone on us, but in the future, maybe wearables, ingestibles, whatever, we're going to have computing power with us all the time, and if it's all interconnected in a distributed network like the MaidSafe or decentralized network, it's a really strange idea of what's going to form out of that,
I mean, Rich, Rich, I was just going to say, one of the things that's just to linger on what you were just saying there, and sort of why you mention it. I mean, in reality, the thing that's traded in all of our lives is our time and our energy. That's why we go to work, and that's at the moment, that's what's traded in our life. And this is one of the other things that just to why you talk about the use of SafeCoin and the value of SafeCoin. Well, this is one of the epoch moments. The moment you give the people who can create or producers that their time and their energy is directly going to reward them, that's taking us. That's the moment when we walk away from the slave farm and we go, wow, I'm free because now I can fund myself, and that's going to make it valuable. That's the value of it, Rich. We're all sold and bought on our time and energy, and suddenly you've got a system that's going to go, there you go. We're going to reward you. You don't need to be under the the yield of anybody else, and that's going to be a scary world for some people, but for a lot of people, it's going to be a great world, and then that's going to be the interesting world. That's going to be an interesting world. I mean, it's the same when you go to the beach. There's some people go to the beach and they spend the whole 2 weeks while they're on holiday, and they sit there and they suntan. They never go in the ocean. Some people will straight away get their t-shirts off and they're straight running into the ocean. That's life, I mean, there's going to be winners and losers, and but the ability to instantly, without your time and your energy can be rewarded directly through SafeCoin. That's gonna free up a lot of people in this world, because it means, that's what I'm saying, not only your artists and your painters and your musicians, but as I said before to you, Rich, way back in the day, it means your baker, it means the shoemaker, it means the person who makes guitars, anybody who's making anything that they're doing with their time and energy can now basically have the ability to be rewarded for it directly.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if there's anybody following this to do their thesis or their dissertation on, because this is going to be fascinating to see how all this stuff we kind of theorize about pan out. Because this is kind of laying the groundwork for the future of value sharing in a way that is going to make it fluid. Just like the idea that, hey, I just got paid SafeCoin because I wrote a song yesterday that 10,000 people enjoyed and they shared it immediately, and I just earned 500 SafeCoin because I created this application, and then every time somebody uses it, you generated value because you gave your attention to making this thing real, and you don't have to, after it's locked and after it's basically set free, it's its own creature and it's living on a redundant network forever, as long. Knock on wood. But yeah. Anyway, the point is that you're right. This is something that it's fascinating to think about. There's a guy who posted on the SAFEnetwork his idea for different Unicode images for what might be the SafeCoin Unicode. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. And there was one that he did that I thought was perfect because it kind of resembles a capacitor. Like if you're looking at electronic schematics. It looks just like where it has the separation between two lines, and it's perfect because it's like this is the perfect Unicode symbol for SafeCoin if they decide to pick it, because it's a unit of energy. It's storage. You have it until you're ready to release it.
Well, Rich, just I mean, on the point you're sort of saying about how this is going to be playing out to people in real, in the future generation stuff. The Australian Melbourne Bitcoin Technology Centre, they just taken a class. They took their first set on to teach me part of the, which is part where the Melbourne pod works from, the MaySafe pod works from, and they took on the first lot, and then after the New Year, which is their next intake, they've been given funding to take a whole lot of new students in, and Dale was telling me the first lesson she's going to give all her students, she's going to divide them into two groups. She says one set is going to be decentralized and one's centralized. And one group, they have to pick a leader. He's the boss. He makes all the decisions. He decides who's going to be under da-da-da-da, and they go away and they try to decide what they're going to make and produce it. And on the other hand, there's going to be the decentralized world. And she's going to have it for a week, and then she said, that's the first lesson you're going to learn. Real life experience, which one works best. And I thought, this is real life, and this is starting in the next few weeks. This is real students going to university and learning these lessons rather than sitting learning stuffy economics. So these are real life examples. And again, that's why I always say, these examples are happening, and these ones I know about. I'm sure it's happening all over the world, but it's going to be an interesting world when you're getting first generation university students coming through, and that's their first term semester is learning that lesson. It's going to be an interesting world in 3 or 4 years' time.
Absolutely. And something that I keep coming to that when I'm listening to podcasts, when I'm reading news, it keeps coming up, the idea of the minimal viable income. I think that's what they call it. And it seems like, going forward, people who lean towards anarchism or hard libertarianism, they don't like the idea of any government. But imagine a system that really there is no government, but it's a system of algorithms that basically allot X amount of living, the ability to get by and live. It may not be able to be done on SafeCoin because it would still have to be an inflationary income, I think, if that was the case. I don't know.
Well,
maybe I'm wrong on that.
Do you think a world where currency has no value is possible? So really, currency is just the language and that connects us and trading value, which is us as an individual. And so we all have a minimum income of just existing. So,
this is true, but there are definitely people that either because they don't have the mental capacity anymore, or some traumatizing experience, they fall off the wagon, so to speak, right? And they just
But if they still exist, that in itself is minimum income. And in
minimum
a world
income.
where currency has no value, no one spends any time trying. Currency still exists because you need language to communicate and to trade, but just exist. I have no problem sharing my community. To change the mind frame of we all need to, I don't know, property in a sense. We have to define on, okay, this is yours, this is yours, this is yours, and rather than, no, every person is important and exists and they have value.
Absolutely. And going forward, there's going to be so many of us who aren't necessary. Maybe not in my generation, but if things keep going in the same trajectory, for sure in the next generation, nobody's going to need to do much of anything. I mean, with computers, with artificial intelligence, robots that will be able to. Certainly in the fast food industry, you won't need anybody behind the register or flipping the burger or anything. You won't even need any drivers to get the meals to the place, and you won't need anybody mowing a lawn. You can have robots can basically handle so much stuff. The thing that scares me is that there's going to be maybe a handful of corporations that own the robots. What I would love to see is a system set up where the robots own themselves, and just like they've talked about, where since they're so intelligent, let them, whatever income they earn, if they break down, then they automatically spend the money to get fixed. And
but
I don't know how that would play out.
If you have a world, though, that isn't driven by currency and sees the sheer existence of human as the most valuable resource on the planet, then how much power would these corporations really have? Because all they have are numbers. You take away the value that we attach to that, they have nothing. So yeah, they can still provide services.
I think a lot of billionaires kind of come to that conclusion at the end of their life. They think, oh man, I wish I could go back and actually travel the world when I was 20, when I could breathe, when I could walk or run.
Yeah, Rich.
There's natural caregivers, and so people that need, all of us need help at some level. And working in the healthcare industry for 20 years, I've seen people in their most vulnerable times, and there's a lot of people out there that just it's in their nature. Those things will naturally happen, I think.
Yeah,
I better than they are now.
Go ahead.
No, go on, Rich.
I was going to say I believe they'll naturally happen as well. When there's a breakdown, if there is a breakdown in the future of centralized governments, there will definitely be the ability. You have your expertise, orthopedic surgeon, right? And if there's a robot out there that can basically mimic exactly all of your moves and see what you see, then you can operate with anybody anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
what's that?
Totally. Stryker just purchased robot technology for I don't know how many $1 billion. Now everything's $1 billion. But yeah, there's perfect cuts, and we'll probably do it better than a human ever could. So, but there's still going to be places for humans. And
I hope there'll definitely be places for them. I just don't know that it's a very strange idea of thinking about how an economy will function in a place and a time when you don't need to have somebody. When the government becomes, maybe it'll become more relevant, maybe it'll become less relevant. I think most people think automatically it'll become less relevant, but maybe what we think of as government will just simply be limitations on our ability. I hate to say this, our ability to travel and our ability to do this and to do that. It seems like there's always going to be people who say, "Oh, this is an awesome technology." Like you said, with that machine, that $1 billion machine could be saving tens of thousands of lives if they mass-produced it right now. But at this point, they're not interested in mass-producing it because they want to eke out every bit of dollar they can out of the machine, and whoever can afford it, which is going to be, the mega wealthy hospitals.
Yeah, there's already real-world examples. In Greece, 35 and under, 75% of people that are 35 years or younger are unemployed. And so there's real world examples right now. I mean, the industrial age is gone. I'm just realizing it, but it's already gone. So just how far we're into whatever age it is now, the tech age or whatnot.
And when it gets the AI, the age of AI.
I mean, Rich, I mean, it always breaks down to this, and this is why I always look at it from this point of view. I always said to you, I've been fortunate enough to live in other parts of the world where, and it breaks down to everyone's community. How much involvement does the government have in our lives? I mean, yes, they tell you that they need you and stuff, but actually when it breaks down to your community, and I've always said, and it doesn't matter how much riches you have, how many Ferraris you have, how good, how big your house is, how many membership of golf courses you've got, how many letters you've got after your name. When you become ill, what's going to really break down to what's going to help you is how you've been amongst your community, how you treated other people, and that's a real life. That can be reflected in Africa, it's reflected in America, it's all over the world, and this is where we're entering a. You were saying about what the future is. And I've been saying this for a while, Rich. My big thing for the future. I don't worry about what's the future going to be like after with the new technology. It's the same as I said to you before. It's the same one going back to the slave trade and saying, but these poor people, what are they going to do if they're not working on the farms and they're not picking cotton, they're not picking sugar? These poor industrialization, what they're going to do? No, it's better. It's always better to be free than non-free for a start. Bottom line. You know what I mean? We don't need to know it. You know what I mean? And on the other sense as well, Rich, and this is what I really look towards it. I think most people, and this is what I think we need to wait as a species maybe to wake up to. We've got to understand. We've got to tap into our creativity. We've got to teach that to our kids instead of it being as in the world we are right now, where creativity is like the last thing that's considered of any value, because it's all about how many exams you pass, how much zeros you've got in your bank account, how big your garden is. That's all value, but creativity, trust me, I'm a creative person, and it's never been valued in my lifetime. So if we can get to the world where that's done, and most people, Rich, and I don't know what it's like with you, most people, when you give them time, they have a series of boredom. It's and it's like, I'll say, I'm doing nothing. Well, to do nothing is really hard. That's almost like Zen. You've got to lie on that sofa and do fuck all, and that is pretty hard to do. So like, there's a difference between doing nothing and doing fuck all. I mean, even that point. But what I'm trying to say is, everybody inclined at some point starts becoming creative. They start, a man will start tapping away, and it's there in all of us, as Travis said. As long as you've got that brain going, you can do something. And to say, oh yeah, but some people have the capacities. Man, Stephen Hawking's. Everybody's got something. Every human being. I don't care how much mental capacity you've got. Everybody has got something to contribute. And those people who haven't, that's for us to look after, man. That's what we are as a species. That's what we talked about before. That's what we're like as a human being. But man, this is what I love about the SAFEnetwork. It's going to really open up the opportunities for people who right now are thrown on the scrap heap because they're seen as not intelligent, or they haven't got enough skills, or they can't do this, and they don't fit here, and the name doesn't fit there. That's old, like Travis said, that's old world. Now the new world is, what can you offer? What can you create? What can you do? And most people do. Most people, given time, will do something. Trust me. I've seen enough people sit around and they will do something. They will doodle, they will draw. Man, I mean, my partner's a perfect example. She had a week off after Christmas dawn, and she was making rugs, she was painting, she was all sorts. That's what people are like, and that's why I feel really optimistic about the future, because, as Travis said, we've all got that inside us, and we now enter a world where you can get paid or rewarded directly for that, for your production. Man, that's a great world to live in. I don't feel fearful with it at all.
I pluck strings.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of Jacques. It reminds me of Jacques Fresco?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of him. His idea was awesome because it's, like you said, you create a society where if you have an inclination to learn about the sciences, here you go. This is where there's a center here where you can hands-on touch and feel nature and understand how it works. If you're inclined to learn the music arts, you can go over here. and
That's the
be
cool
around
thing
other
about
people.
nature. It just keeps working regardless of anybody's
Exactly.
opinion.
And we can facilitate it or stifle it, and I think this system going forward is going to facilitate it in a big way, I think, I hope.
Hey, do you guys have a lot of reverb coming from me?
No,
Okay, cool. Doesn't sound all echoey.
no.
No.
Right on.
No, it's cool, man. Don't worry. It sounds proper rock and roll, mate. Do you know what I mean? It sounds like you're in the Carnegie Hall.
Here we
It's
go.
brilliant, man.
I've got a button that makes it really intense. Watch.
Got a little Apache going on there.
I am Choctaw Indian. It was my
There you
great grandfather.
Twice removed.
But no, Rich. But I mean, the point I'm making is that's what I'm saying. I think it's all about, and I think it's one of those questions that's not asked. I mean, the generation of creativity. It's just that's why I love to explore creativity, because I think it's just something that I think it's going to be essential, because, like I said, Rich, I think you're absolutely right. One way or the other, we're going to get to a world where actual manual work is less and less relevant to human beings, and then they've got to rely on what they create and what they produce, whatever
This
it
is
may
the
be.
creator's economy.
Mm.
That's what this is. The creator's economy.
Which,
That's a good.
go on,
Go
Rich.
ahead. No, this is something that Brady was talking about. Hold on a second. 1 second. You guys talk.
Go on, Brady.
Oh, he was about to explain probably my blog post, I think is what he was about to talk about. I wrote a blog post called The Creator's Economy. I forgot to pay for my website, though, so you can't go look at it just yet. I paid for sessions and forgot to pay for my other one. But I'll get it up, and you can read The Creator's Economy here probably this next week. Well, in a nutshell, the creator's economy goes into the fact that the previous paradigm was kind of a leechy type system where people who don't create get the largest percentage of the pie, while the creators are kind of at the bottom of that funnel there, and that's just the way it was. And with technologies that let us connect like this in a very direct way, it flips that whole paradigm back on its head the way it's supposed to be. I mean, let's face it, a pyramid isn't supposed to be standing on its head. It should have a foundation, and everyone's standing on top of it after that all the way up to the top. And it doesn't work when it's upside down and all retarded, and it has been upside down and retarded for a long time. We're slowly but surely starting to move back in the right direction. I think the pyramid's on its side right now. We're still kind of trying to push it back where it's supposed to be. I guess if it was on its side, it'd be where it needed to be, though. That didn't make any sense. Carry on.
But I was saying, but this is interesting, Travis, because that's the point. When you look back at history, and I'm giving certain Western examples here, but whenever there's been a great enlightenment, it's been when like I've always said, was when anyone from the creators, for whoever they are, they all mix and communicate. That's one. But the reason, like you said, you gave a great example about, why throughout history at certain points of enlightenment were the artists and why were they? I mean, and the reason it all boils down to is because the reason they did was that the people who created were on the search for, and this is what drove the Greeks and these civilizations, was at the top of the pyramid, as you're going to say, the things that we're trying to strive towards are beauty and truth, rather than the ugly and the negative. And like you said, and it's a really good analogy for where we are in our society, that the ideals that almost carried us through to where we are, the search for truth and love and the things that make us better as human beings, have now just been upside down. And it's like you say, the base is up the way around. Sorry, when you thought that analogy, I just thought that ties in so well about why creativity. It always, to me, always coincides. The rise of creativity always rises with the Enlightenment periods, and when we make these massive leaps. You think of the leap we made in the Middle Ages, or the leap we made in the Industrial Age. It's always these big leaps, and it happens when the creative are involved, and everybody can have this conversation, and we go back to searching for truth and reason, and we use logic instead of just ideological beliefs. And like you said, Brady, that's where the pyramid's been spun round right now. And hopefully, this is one of the bigger questions, and get philosophical here, but one of the things I really hope that the Safe Network opens up to is we can start putting all the ideologies of the world, whatever they may be, from every angle, back onto a seat of reason, and we can discuss them. And I said to you the other day, Brady, I don't want to live in a world where all these Muslim jihadi, preachers are all hidden away. I want them on TV. Let's bring them out. Let's discuss their arguments. Let's show them up for the fools they are, rather than this power they got because they're hidden behind these screens and they're these big idols. No, and that's what I'm hoping the Safe Network is going to do. It's going to give everyone the opportunity.
Decentralization does. Decentralization.
Exactly.
It allows that pyramid, regardless of what end it's standing on, to be shattered, spread apart, and laid on the ground so we can start rebuilding. Because the pyramid obviously didn't work. We've tried it upside down, we've tried it right side up, and it's not working. So let's try a new shape. Maybe a sphere. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe just this abstract crap laying everywhere. let's just see what works instead of trying one model and doing it for centuries over and over and over again, thinking it's going to finally work one day. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the definition of insanity.
Exactly.
You guys would all agree. I think everyone here is just naturally creative, and I'd say 99% of the population is creative. What I've noticed in my life in creating, a lot of people around me have made a crap load of money off of my effort. And I'm not driven by money, and so, but occasionally I'm like, oh, all right, well, what about me? If I ever say that, then I lose every time, because I can't help but just spend my time creating and working on projects and experimenting.
It does make you step back and wonder, where's my lunch today?
The non-creative, they spend their whole time figuring out how to separate me from what I create. I lose every time. So until I have a way that I can keep
the way is obscene amounts of creativity. Just like flood the world with freaking just creativity so much that there's no more separating it. It's just everywhere.
Open source your ideas.
Exactly. Let it go everywhere. Steal my ideas. It'll be great if you do. It'll be wonderful.
Yep. I agree with you, Brady. That's why everything I do is open source. It's just.
I was just going to mention about how MadeSafe has to patent some of their ideas simply because of the way patent trolls work. If somebody's watching what's going on here really carefully, and they really have a few excellent programmers in their pocket, they can kind of leapfrog a little bit and throw a few patents at the wall and basically try to make it to where you can be shut down, because now you're violating somebody else's patent. Now the nice thing with decentralization is now you can't actually shut it down once it's alive. It's alive.
And open source, source as well, because it's open source. I'm not. This is not me. This is not a company. This is just some stuff on the internet that people do. Deal with it.
Right. But as a group of programmers, as you're working on it and making it available, but it's not yet done, it's kind of a different dynamic. If they were able to do everything they were doing there in Troon in complete secret, they wouldn't need to have those patents.
Though I will say this, though. Marketing is probably one of the most evil things in the world, because I realized how much really good marketing can make something totally shitty seem awesome to everyone in the world, while there's this really awesome thing that's just no one's looking at. And it's like, I'm hoping one day this whole paradigm will converge and everyone will be like, oh, actually, this is awesome. And that marketing crap just was kind of a cool novelty for a couple decades at best.
Brady, I've warned you before, man. Seeing that we're talking about the current paradigm, I've told you that I've got certain trigger warnings, and the minute you mention marketing, man, I'm going to go off on a Bill Hicks one, man. Don't. So I will zip my mouth, man, because if not, I'll just go on a marketing rant.
Well, it's evil. I didn't realize how evil until I got into college and took a marketing class, and I was like, wow, that is some evil shit.
Yeah, art of manipulation. Hiding naked women in ice cubes.
It's not even that, man. They're genetically manipulating us. We had that
Oh.
conversation a while back ago.
Yeah, that's scary.
Watch
That's
this.
That's right. What did you call that?
I'm genetically
As long as we're looking at each
manipulating you.
other. Yeah, you're right. Visually, everything we say, everything we see, everything we hear. Wow.
But no,
Kind of
I
that
mean,
more presence idea. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I mean, this all plays into really, it goes back to even what we were discussing earlier on. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The current paradigm, I mean, they are, like in nature, they're like the ticks. They're like the parasites. And we like Travis was saying, we are we're the ones that run around, we do all the feeding for these little ticks. And it plays into the thing. This is how I see people in the world. Those people are always like trying to, like I say, even in your circle of friends, you know, like if someone came in your house and was just constantly just walking in and just, you know,
Take it.
yeah, you know, but I'm saying this one, but
I've had some of those.
But what I'm trying to say, but it's like people though, isn't it? It's, you know, what I'm trying to say, these people think like that are the ones that always cry for government, always crying for somebody else to solve their situations, always go running to, oh please, please, and it's like no, like
It's
we,
right
like
here.
you said. We're the ones that, exactly, and that's where we're getting to. We get like it all plays into a part, like what you're saying earlier on, Travis. That those people are going to scream the loudest when we wake up and go, we don't need you anymore. They're going to scream, man. You ever taken a tick off of a beast? It makes they will scream, man. But that's what I'm trying to say is, but. This is what I was trying to say to people. That's why I say it to people who are sick. I mean, my missus was saying to me the other day, if people are playing like drinking games to you, they're going to get absolutely hammered when every time you say you are the brains of the central nervous system. But I say that because that's the wake up moment when you wake up and going, I don't need these parasites. They're not. You know, it's not part of my natural existence to be sucked upon. You know what I mean? I am. You know, in nature, you wouldn't let yourself be parasitic, or it's like medicine. If you just lie back and let any disease, like cancer, take over you, it will take over you. If you fight against it with antibiotics, it will decease. It's up to you, and that's what we've all woken up to. We just think, oh, this stuff is natural, and government's natural, and it's always been around, and it's always been this way, and like the paradigm's always going to be the same, and it's not. It's going to change very quickly, and that's why I always say to people, whatever you think about it, you have to think about it because it's coming.
Yeah, one of the, I guess, most it angered me. It was frustrating when I realized just how manipulated you are when you're a little child in school. And every time you show up, you know, everybody stand up, say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then you later on in life you realize, wow, I was being programmed by government to go in lockstep with everything they wanted me to think and do. And
It's
I was
important
like,
to tell them that's against your religion, and you can't. And
Yeah.
you just don't tell them what religion, because telling them is against your religion.
yes.
No, it goes back to Rich. But this is the very point. This is what I'm saying. I mean, I think the reason why I always say this is an epoch moment because we're about to break, and not just with SafeCoin, but that's a really big step along the way. We're in the process of separating the state from the money, and that's a huge thing because they had like we were saying, they cast this spell over us with these little bits of magic paper with these pictures of kings and queens, you know, and it's like whoa, we're all blinded, like Travis has said, that suddenly that's now the worth, and we look at us. I always say, imagine if you were in the spacecraft and you look down. It's madness. It's absolute madness. We're all running around in cars, putting on these little monkey suits, playing these little silly office games, and for what? And then we die, and you think, like you were saying earlier on, Rich, the billionaires, they die and they go, oh, what did I do with my life? And that's, do you know what I mean? This is where we're getting to.
Richard Branson. I think I would have to give an exception to Sir Richard Branson. I think
Don't get me
anyway,
wrong. Go on.
Yeah. No. I think you're right on what you're saying there. Yeah, I had a thought when it just kind of evaporated right when I was opening my mouth. Go ahead.
Well, I was watching a TED Talk the other day, and it was about they studied, I don't know, tens of thousands of people that were on their deathbeds, basically, and the top 5 things that people right before they died, you know, wish they would have done differently. And I'm trying to remember all top 5. I should have looked it up before I mentioned it. but one of them was work less. That was number one. Number two was spend more time with family.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look it up and get all this hot. But yeah, none of them were about working, and that's I spent 7-8 years in college, and I don't know how many years I was in pre-med in high school, and I used to identify who I was my whole life. I would tell people I am a medical provider. My career is who I am, and it's been a really interesting journey to realize that in the end, your job is just a job. It's not who you are.
Yeah, one of the most liberating experiences I've ever had, along the line of what you're saying, is back in 2009, I sold everything I had except for what I could pack on a motorcycle. I bought an old BMW motorcycle, and I got on that bike. I didn't even have much money. I think I had $400 on me, and and that was to my name. I didn't have anything in a bank account, and so I take off, and I decided I was going to head south. I just wanted to go as far as I could go. I mean, my goal was, I was thinking Argentina, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm about to take this journey. Maybe I'll never come back. I better go say bye to my sister up in Montana or Wyoming. And so I go up there to say bye to my sister and stay with her for about a week. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I may never be back up in the States. I want to drive down the PCH. So I get on Highway 90 and head from Gillette, Wyoming, up into Seattle, Washington. And I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? So I take that ferry that takes you across over to what is it? The Olympic Peninsula, the Olympic Forest, Olympic National Forest, and I stayed there a night. And some of the most beautiful pictures that I've taken so far were on that trip, and I was doing photography along the way. It just worked out. You know, when I was in Seattle, I was just walking around with my camera, and I walked into this studio in Pioneer Square, where it was like a 4-story building that had a bunch of artists in it. And I walk up and through this building and start taking. I look for artwork I like, and then I ask, is the artist nearby? And I would like to take a picture of the artist next to their artwork. So I started doing that, and then somebody decided. And then of course I got their email addresses. I edited the photo, sent it to them, and they looked at it, and I had one guy call me back, and he wanted to hire me to do a photo shoot in his studio with his photos or with his pictures that he had drawn or painted, and along with him, and looking cool next to his pictures, and it was just amazing. It's like, and while I was on this trip, while I was on the road on this motorcycle, it was like I was envisioning what was going to happen. And of course, it didn't happen exactly as I envisioned it, but it was almost like putting the intention out there. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to meet interesting people, and it's going to be beautiful. And one of the first night I was in Seattle, I drove up. I missed the street that I meant to turn on, and I went up this other side street. And I look up, and I see this guy up on the second story of this apartment building, and he's wearing nothing but a feather boa in a sarong. He has a sarong around him and a feather boa, and I'm thinking to myself, that's pretty cool. I'm going to take a picture of this guy. So I got off my bike, and I asked him if it was okay if I took a photo, and he's like, yeah, sure, So he comes running down from his apartment, and he has this big tub of Kool-Aid, and he's like, yeah, it was just like, it was wild. It was like he invited me back up, and next thing I know, I'm hanging out with this guy for a few days in Seattle, and the whole idea is that when you live free without any fear, and you're moving forward, and you have intentions but not expectations, then things happen. They just happen. They work. And this worked for me all the way down to, I made it down to San Jose del Cabo in the Baja Peninsula, and it was beautiful. And then from there, I took a ferry from La Paz to Mazatlan and down to Guadalajara. But the whole thing just was the most amazing time in my life, and money was not a big part of it, at all. It was just, it was necessary because I had to keep filling up the gas tank, but I was never worried about it. And the thing that you find out, when you're that type of a traveler, people want to be a part of that story. And they invite you in, they'll feed you a dinner, they want to hear your travel stories, and you're giving to them as much as they're giving to you, because they're living vicariously for a moment, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think that's my little story about letting go and living free for a minute.
That's epic. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, Rich. Now, Rich, just envision the same exact journey, but like you said, every photo you're taking, bang, you're putting it up on the Safe Network. You're doing every time you see a flower, you're doing that using the Pocket Docs app. Going right, that's perfect, and you're doing that, and all the way along, you're just adding knowledge to the greater human commonwealth of knowledge, and you're gaining resources. And you haven't done anything different. You haven't done anything different. It's just the environment's changed, and that's the difference between that trip and now. This is where it's like, wow, suddenly I've got opportunities to be rewarded for the stuff I'm creating, and that, like I say, that create can just be a photo, it can be a conversation. I mean, do you know what I mean? This is what's really good, because in the world we live in right now, no one's paying us for this conversation, but in the future they will. That's the difference. We can say, right, if you want to watch, this is what I'm saying. And right, it goes back to what we were saying earlier on. Travis was making at the point. Right now our time and energy is spent. Do you know what I mean? This is why shouldn't we be rewarded for this? We're creating, and this is the essence of what we are. It's still time and energy, and that's going to be the difference in the world right that's coming. Is we'll have ways and means of we can be rewarded quite rightly for the time and energy we've given for anything. Where it's in this conversation, because in essence, this is creative. This is as much being creative as me sitting there painting a picture or Brady writing a song on a guitar. This is, creation comes in conversations. Some of the greatest conversations and out of that comes great creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
I'll love a time when I don't spend 3/4 of my time just trying to play the game to survive in the current world, and then the other 3/4 of free time I have is all the things that I'm really passionate about and that I feel are really going to have a difference on providing a good future for my children. It'll be nice when you can pursue what you really are passionate about and get a direct reward for that. That would be amazing.
Well, it was something that Brady was mentioning to me earlier on, Brady, and I don't know how much you want to bring it up, but that to me excites me beyond belief. Thinking, okay, we're all roughly a certain age in our lives. We're over 20 and under 50, but can you imagine what this is going to be like for the younger generation? Brady, as Brady mentioned, you mentioned that you've got a 12-year-old niece who's really good at drawing artwork, and you just mentioned your daughter's there, Travis. I've got a son, and I'm like, wow, the future for them is going to be immense, because this is going to be almost like smartphones to us all now. We're just used to it, and they're going to grow up to a world where the safe network is going to be completely the second answer. So I was wanting to mention, Brady, because I know it was something you mentioned the other day about how excited you were about the future generation and what it's going to do for them, decentralization and stuff.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because it's going to be complicated and it's going to be a lot to take in, but like the next generation, that's like not a problem because they grow up in that. What's hard is like guys like us and a little older, like you have to explain a lot of these technology to someone like for hours and sometimes days and sometimes weeks depending on the person. And this next generation is just like, it's like growing up on an iPad. They're just like, yeah, whatever, I got this, check this out. And you're like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. It's going to be amazing. It really is. And I'm trying to encourage my family's next generation, the children that are, 10, 12 and under, because they're going to be inheriting this world. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm so excited about all of this, is because we're building tools and new systems and structures and templates for them to just go forth and use, and it's going to be nothing short of mind-blowing and amazing. I mean, we're probably going to be flying around in freaking spaceships with our children in 10 years.
Yeah, completely true, Brady. But I mean, it always boils down to the same thing. The way that the mass adoption is going to happen with the Safe Network or any apps that we may be building or working on or helping each other, it's always going to be the same thing. It's going to be, does what we offer, is it easier than the current solution they got to the problem? If it is, then that's how it's going to happen. Like I say, I mean, that's why I stay away from all these fanciful ideas about us flying around in magic boots and going up, because it's like, no, can we just make a few apps that are easy to use first before we concentrate on that?
Hey, wait,
And,
we do have functional jetpacks now. Come on, you have to give us a little credit.
yeah, well, Brady, I was going to say, Brady, do you know what I mean? Every human being born on this planet, anywhere in the world, has got a functional jetpack. Do you know any human being anywhere in this world can go to any planet? They can become anything. It's called sleep. You know what I mean? We can all fly and go to universities, man. We don't need jetpacks. We can all do it in his head.
So in psychology, we talk a lot about there's some basic needs that have to be met before a human can spend any time, mental or physical time, on anything else, and those basic needs.
Isn't that Maslow's laws of hierarchy?
Exactly. So you need food, shelter, and security, and until those aren't satisfied for the world, and
Everybody.
It's not like part of the world, or the ones that were lucky enough over here. Yeah, that's just the way the dice rolled. No, it's not.
Everybody.
Until every person on this planet can have those three basic things met.
What's messed up is we have all the technology to do that, and we have for well over 50 years. We just haven't done it because, well, some people are just assholes, to be quite frank.
So it's not Maslow's laws of hierarchy. It's Maslow's hierarchy of need. Sorry.
Strong work, man. I forgot the official title, but that came to mind. So all those things, it just I think we have to start there, and I don't know why have we not got there. I just
We're getting there now. Now is the time. This is the seed that is being planted to make that happen. We're there.
Yeah.
It's just we're just now watering that seed right now, waiting impatiently as it finally sprouts, and we're like, oh my God, that reality's here finally.
Which on sort of, again, Travis, the reason that hasn't happened here, and this is why, again, I try to even, I mentioned earlier on about, how can we even stop any form of centralization? That's what kills. That's why things don't happen. That's why it takes so long, because information gets hidden, and that's why we're all known enough to remember. Look how fast it's accelerating at an exponential rate, and that's because we're all connected, and we haven't got to go to libraries to sit and find this information. We haven't got to sit there and go to some old stuffy library and go, oh, this is what chaos theory is, reading some old book. We can sit there and do a half an hour's podcast, and boom, and this is. Do you know what I'm saying? This is only come through this connection, and it's what the SAFEnet in particular is going to open up, and has potential to open up. It's just going to take us further in, and that's hopefully is why I say, once we break through this final paradigm wall, we're never going to go backwards, because the only reason we go backwards is when certain people centralize knowledge, and then they centralize this, and then before you know it, it's all in the hands of a few people sat in ivory towers telling us this is that and this is that, and it's never the way. We should all have rights to every piece of knowledge and this sort of stuff, because none of us own it. All knowledge of this planet isn't selectively owned by anybody. It's all that commonwealth of knowledge. Just as much as none of us could own air. Like you said, Richard Branson, he could be the richest man in the world. He doesn't own air. He doesn't own water. He might think he does. He might, and right, we can pay him for if he wants to purify the air, or okay, I'll buy some Branson air, but he still doesn's own it. It's the thing that there are things beyond all human, bigger than us. I'm not getting religious, but we are a tiny little bubble floating in a huge universe, and some of this stuff no human being can ever own, and that's the point. And that's the paradigm we've been stuck in at the moment, where people ownership over stuff. The church had knowledge over science, and that's like, of course the earth thing revolves on the earth, and then you realize actually that's not true, but you had ownership of it. And what the SAFEnetwork is basically, that's why people will fight us back, because people that have all these secrets in the ivory towers, like every time in history, do not like when the light comes in of knowledge and logic and says, oh, wait a minute, we know that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, how fast do you think that will happen? you know, because even with the broken internet that we have right now, that you come across knowledge. You know, I watched a documentary the other day, Cowspiracy, and that, you know, I felt fairly confident the data they were presenting that if we all stopped eating meat today, every single person on the planet would have enough food, plentiful food to eat. So, you know, we take the vast majority of the food that we grow, we feed it to the animals. And so then that makes it so we don't have enough food to go around. So that knowledge is there, but what do people do with it?
I'm going to take a quick poll, if you don't mind. Who here, if it was completely decentralized, would say put a chip in you that allowed you access to all the information available at your fingertips, kind of like Ray Kurzweil's vision of the singularity, but done on a decentralized network where you always had the ability to unplug anyway if you wanted to. The chip may still be there, but you could turn it off, and you know it was off. And in connecting, your information and your thoughts are still yours and you're private.
I don't think that'll happen. I don't think we'll get that.
Rich, my first question I've got to say is, why would I need the chip?
Yeah, why do I need the chip?
Yeah,
okay,
man.
Okay, good question. Good question. So let's say the chip basically
hold your private keys. God.
No.
Guys.
Okay. Let me answer your question. Why would you need the chip? All right. I don't know if your phone if you use the Android version where you can ask it a question, right? Press on the microphone, ask it anything you want, and boom, there it is.
Yeah.
All right. So the chip is basically understands. You know, you can basically what you're thinking, right? And so the information is right at your fingertips immediately. And whatever it is, even if it's a thought, or like, where did I leave my this? And it automatically goes through your memory banks of where you were when you last set it down and tells you where it was. There's a lot of reasons why having that type of assistance, especially in when you start to get dementia, if you're unfortunate in your older age, you know, why that could be really cool.
I saw that episode of Black Mirror, man. I don't know about all this.
I don't know. I hadn't seen that yet, but I'm just asking because I think the big fear is that we all plug in and then there's somebody over here who has the kill switch, and then basically we're all running around with empty walls because we no longer have the ability to think for ourselves very well. Just like the idea with cell phones and being challenged to remember your friend's telephone number that you only talk to a few times a year. It's hard.
1,000 bits for remembering your mother's phone number.
So anyway, okay. So I take it everybody here wouldn't put the chip in. No, Rich. Rich, I think again. I think the basis of what you're saying is absolutely right, and I think this is where. And I don't even like using the word artificial intelligence because I don't think it is intelligence. I think it's just intelligence. I don't like to use the word artificial. This idea that we've made it and it's all like, oh, aren't we great? Look at us. No.
It either is or it isn't.
Exactly. But the point is, this intelligence, instead of having it a chip, I was just thinking, well, given how things will naturally happen in the sense that they can become smaller, cheaper, and more smarter, well, wouldn't I just have as it is now, a drone that's big? Well, maybe in 5 generations, 10 generations times of the drone, it's the size of maybe a little bumblebee that goes around with me all the time, and then I can ask it any question it likes, and it can give me the answer, whatever form.
I think that. I like the idea of having a little fairy bumblebee or whatever.
Yeah.
Rather than
Sorry, can you guys hear drum beats?
Yeah,
I did.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we were going all sessiony there, my man.
Sorry.
The mashup.
I'm still prepping for sessions, man. I'm making sure everything's gonna be perfect. So I'm sorry if I'm guinea pigging all of you. I really do.
But like I was saying, Rich, I think that the basis of it, I think it's a really good idea and stuff like that. But I've always considered, and again, it would be free choice. But I'm not in the, definitely, just to answer your question directly, I would never be in the camp to inject a chip or any of that stuff. I'm just that way inclined. I've got no inclination of injecting myself. But if I had a little, like you say, a little Tinkerbell or a little Bumblebee or whatever was following me around, and could be my hide. And do you know what? I think it's really.
I will put a chip in my cat.
I mean, we jest about it, but I thought about it. I mean, if you had a little, like I say, maybe a little bird that followed you around as an electronic, drone bird, and it would be able to scan what's ahead of you. So, like, it would mean, for instance, someone like a woman could walk through the dark street at night, and she would know how many human bodies are in the area, how are they carrying a knife. We could do X-ray. Man, that would be an invaluable tool.
That's an invasion of privacy, and I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, but if I want to hold a knife and mug somebody, I should be allowed to. So I want my privacy. All right, you understand me?
Yeah, what kind of pervert wants to have that?
Sorry. Carry on.
Rich, my take on it is, thinking about it, I've always seen there's value in, I think it was Socrates that said is, I only know one more thing than everyone else, and it's that I know nothing. Yes. So I think what you're really asking is, if you had the ability to know truth, to know have that access to truth and to know everything, would you do it? And I would almost say no, because then I wouldn't exist, because I think that life only exists in the realm of imperfection.
Oh no, I certainly don't think this would perfection would ensue after this. I'm just thinking more along the lines of, where the hell did I leave my keys? And
the question is, what is
my
perfection?
Wife's birthday?
Yeah, because perfection is truth if you follow that philosophical thought process. But
there's other philosophical processes that say perfection is something else, though.
Well,
perfection is chaos for some people.
That's true.
Oh, I'm with Tim, actually. I think I vote for the Oracle Fairy.
Oracle Fairy, yeah. I like the movie. Have you guys seen the movie Lucy, where she takes way too much of this brain?
It was a great movie, yeah.
Free access, but so spoiler alert. Cover your ears if you haven't seen it. You want to see it, but
muting. Hold on. Let me mute.
Where she knows complete understanding, she disappears because she no longer exists. I don't know. I would be afraid. I'm afraid. Something you don't understand. I don't know. I would put a chip in me. I mean, I'd try anything twice.
It depends on what the chip does, to be honest. It has to be open source, so I know.
Yeah. Yeah, in my mind, the idea is that you know exactly what it does. It doesn't invade any privacy. All it does is answer your questions and help prompt you if you're lost trying to remember something. But anyway,
go ahead.
I was just going to say I have some friends and family here, and I'm going to get in trouble if I don't join them for dinner here.
Okay.
No, that's cool, Rich. I'll tell you what we'll do, Rich. We're nearly at 2 hours anyway, so, I mean, man, let's just call it a night, and we you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, Trevor, go on.
I was going to say Brady was going to play something, though.
I was just going to say, Brady, man, do you know what I mean? It's becoming a bit of a habit of the ANTS meetings, man. You can finish on a track.
All right, I can do that. I'm actually kind of prepared for one I've been working on for a while, but it's getting into the final stages of actual production instead of just something up here. So I hope you enjoy this. This is The Battle Within, which is about more things than I can really explain. So like a lot of my music, it's like a Rorschach test. What you get out of it, I would love to hear. So PM me when you know. It has a lot to do with real-world battles, but the battle within that ensues from dealing with external problems. So.
Oh wait, Brady, before you start, Dally's in here, man. Rich,
Hey.
Rich.
I'm gonna join them for dinner, but I'll just be listening.
Rich, I'll tell you what, Rich. Before you do go to dinner, ask Daniel the question you were going to ask him about, funding the machines.
Funding the machine?
You mentioned the question earlier on where you were going to ask Daniel when he came back.
fueling the
Oh,
machine.
shoot. See, I need that little chip in my head because I don't remember what the question
Oh, okay.
See how you are? You didn't get your chip implanted, so now you're banished to the non-chip sector.
If I remember it, I'll write it down.
Okay, no worries, man. Have a good night, man.
Hey, guys, sorry, I missed most of the pod. The
That's all right. It's
Western
good to
was
have you.
closed both times. I had to drive like 20 miles to get to the other one, and I'm just at a Starbucks, and I didn't want you guys to log off without me saying hello before you go.
You know, we do have like this thing called cryptocurrency that's instant now. You don't have to use those companies anymore, right?
Yeah, yeah, but rental people take cash only, not Bitcoin. So I kind of had to get that ready to stop being nomadic for a few days, you know.
But Daniel, before obviously, because is there anything particularly before the next ANTS meeting you particularly want to announce, or anything you particularly you want to say?
Well, I wanted to definitely give a reaction on the crowd sale. I know we didn't meet since it when it was over, and we didn't talk on live since then. But yeah, it's an epic. I think it's been an epic success. The sale, like pretty much the same amount of funds as an entry-level programmer would get, and so. So I think that as long as the values continue to rise, I'll be all set for the eternity of SAFEnetwork, which is quite an honor. That I'm the reaction I would give right now. Yeah.
Oh man, that's fantastic news to hear. And like I say, I've been watching the crowd so with eager expectation every day. And I said to you, when you launched it, my friend, none of this surprises you. And like I said, that's a huge step forward. And so I mean, for people now who have obviously missed the sale, what would your advice to them be? How can they obviously they can still get involved?
There's a coin that recently went to be worth. It went up to 7 million total capacity, and it started at 50,000. And our sale pretty much ended at 50,000, so we start at 50,000. So I'm just saying, like, I think it'll be possible that we will reach valuations. For 7 million valuation is 140 times what we started at, and that's happened before to other coins. So I have high hopes for what I'm gonna be releasing, and I'm very thoroughly incentivized to make that happen. Like every time that some code is released that improves the ability for people to trade, I feel like that's an increase in the value of the platform. And so like I'm so motivated to just not do anything. Like right now, I just got done going to Western Union to pick up cash from the bitcoins, and it's a one-way move now for me. Like I used to buy them back. I used to go to Western Union, pick up the cash, and then buy the coins again, so I could sell them again, so that I can get a few extra bucks on top. A few extra quid on top of that. So this time I'm cashing them out so that I can just not have to rebuy them and not do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like this is pretty much what my day used to be. It's like half of the day or more, I would engage in just driving to a Western Union and pulling out cash to pay bills. So now I'm going to be using that time after this. Like after this one round, all that time will go into just software, and this is going to be the most funnest moment in my life in like almost a year and a half, something like that. And it's going to be all code. It's going to be all things we get to use.
All things code.
Yeah, and I think in general the crowd sale demonstrated. I think it thoroughly demonstrated that the developers of the SAFEnetwork will be able to just launch a crowd sale, get enough funding, produce what the people need on the platform, and they'll be compensated for doing that job. Yeah. So, like, and like, yeah, I'm so excited for, like, wow. Yeah.
Well, man, we kind of tapped upon it earlier on, Daniel, and I was just saying it.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
one way or the other, this year is going to be a momentous year, one way or the other, regardless of
Yeah.
what happens with Made Safe or anything else. Because I said the seeds have already been planted, my friend, and now that it's done and officially, the crowd sale's done, man. That's a huge step forward again, man. So yeah, it's
Seeds
going to
don't
be.
germinate as fast as I would like them to, though. That's the problem.
Well, I'm moving as fast as I can to fix the situation that, not so to speak, like, settle in.
I was more so
That's what I'm
talking about
saying.
my seeds, but yeah, I think everyone sees their own projects and goes, why isn't it moving as fast as I dreamed it would? It's supposed to be now, not tomorrow.
Well,
Sorry.
the now is what matters, Grady.
Yeah,
You know,
you're right.
Castaneda would say that Europeans, right, people who are European type, they want for a brighter future instead of a bright immediately right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which takes work now.
yeah.
A lot of work right now. A lot of work.
No, I
More
mean,
work than you thought it was going to be.
No, I mean, on a again, this is just one of the life lessons. I mean, in any process, I mean, you just mentioned there, Brady. When we look back at this in 3 or 4 years' time, if we're all still alive and we haven't been hit by a meteor or whatever, but if we're all here and we're all sitting around having this conversation, it's right now the process of building and working and striving and sweating. This is the greatest of moments. This is what we look back at in 5 years' time, going, oh, that was the best bit. It's almost a disappointment. I know I'm like that with a piece of artwork. I love the process of it, then I do it, and then it's okay, done, and I'm kind of like on to the next one, and I'm bored of it, And that's it's like that's why, like Daniel was just saying, that's why the now is always the most enjoyable, because
That's the beauty.
Exactly, that's the thing.
Well, like you said it perfectly just now. Is when it's done, it's boring. When you're doing it, it's exciting. Like it's just this monotonous job later. If it's an ongoing thing, and if it's art, it's just this thing that hangs on the wall, and it's kind of boring. It's like that's amazing, but watching someone do it, now that is exciting, which is kind of my motivation for sessions. I hope everyone kind of feels that vibe, and thank all of you for being here. And I've come out of my shell actually talking to some of you doing this. This is the first time I've really got on to podcasts and live shows and stuff. So I just want to thank all of you. I've come out of my shell because of you. So thank you, all of you.
No, can I just say, and I think I want to put this out to anybody that may in the future may listen to it or whatever. But one of the things that really inspiring about the times that we are now, Brady, is the very fact that if you just form an idea that it can be built, and you can, do you know what I mean? And that's what I try to sort of say to a lot of people, that that you can go away and you can have an idea, and people are out there and they can build it. Now, the world we live in right now, there's not many coders out there, and that's hopefully what we can build in the future. Where we can start to get where it's more a common sort of widespread knowledge where people can build stuff. But what I would say is that with anything you're going to adapt, this is what I'm trying to say. Lesson I would give out to people is say, right, instead of, like you said, around that solution about when you finish something, like, for instance, I can only personally speak about 99. I kind of want it to be like, okay, I'll put the first generation out, but man, I've got ideas for this to go on and on and on and on, and it can be built upon and built upon and built upon. And I think that's a really good lesson for people to learn, that, okay, instead of being bored with something, or use it as a template to, it can be moved on and adapted to, rather than just building a wooden wheel that by the time rubber comes around, it's going to be neglected.
That's the thing.
Concentrate on the wheel.
You got to keep it going. Keep that cycle. Let people steal your idea. Let them roll with it, because then it stays exciting. Then it continues on. Then it morphs.
Well, look at Yahoo. Yahoo never adapted, right?
Exactly.
Like it's still the same like it was in 1991. So
It is.
And Google embraced some open sourceness. You know, like
Yeah. Not as much as they should.
They seem to yeah, but they like hire Mozilla. They pay the open source directly. So
Yeah.
they understand that, but who understands it even better is a MadeSafe company, for example. You know, like we have a all open discussion group. So I was just thinking recently, the last few minutes about the crowd sale, and like, you know, we get more coders that way than business people. You know what I mean? Like, it's less about the business, more about the code. And like, I'm happy to kind of jump ship. You know, I'm happy to jump ship into the boaters and into
Things
the
should be
coders.
development led. You
In
know,
the
everything should be
coders will.
development led.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yeah. I'm not
I did.
interested in people's money. I'm interested in people that have got creative ideas and can
Actually do stuff.
Yeah.
and create it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
do
then
things.
not on top of the coding, there's always needs to be some kind of guidance to give a because the coders are we're myopic. We are, you know, on the codes. We don't really see how people interact with the app right away all the time. You know, like Steve
Watch
Jobs,
them.
it wasn't the coder, but he did the design. He did all the design, or like he knew what was total crap and what was the correct way to get it done. And so like there are real roles to kind of to assist the coders. Yeah, that's for sure. And like, I'm looking forward to these bright days where all I got is an editor and I don't have to leave the chair. You know, like there's no one gonna tell me you got to get up because it's closing time, or like, you know, there just won't be that kind of disturbance, so that the, you know, creative energies can flow and make the software
Yeah.
for us to use.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things on this very thing, Dan, and I really want to kind of, you know, just quickly or whatever discuss this, because I think it's a really it's a theme of this conversation tonight, is trying to link to people who have no maybe knowledge of the SafeNet, no idea how to code or any of this kind of technical stuff. Now, you're like this is really like between me and you. We know that you're in the coding element, and you like to have all you can understand all the different languages. And you mentioned to me like just drawing an idea out on a bit of paper. Now, this is what I'm trying to ask you from a coder's point of view, and from someone like on the angle who doesn't have any idea about what Rust is or C++ or any of that, even what JavaScript is or anything. What is the best way would you encourage people who have no knowledge and skills in the area that you would be to formulate their ideas? Is it by writing it out on loads of loads of words and then printing off loads of bits of paper and sending you emails? Is it drawing it out? Is it speaking to people, or is it a combination of all three?
Yeah, it's a combination of all those. It depends on the person. It's like, you know, when you you might have watched a movie with a friend, and then they said, you know what? If only like the Doritos, the bag of chips, was not rectangular. If only it was round. You know? They said, why don't they make the round bag of chips instead of the rectangular bag of chips or
That's
something?
what you guys are talking about is my inspiration listening to all of you. 4 sessions. I want music
Yeah.
to emulate that. Like, hey, why didn't they do this? Because it would have been awesome if they did. Now you
Yeah.
can.
And then you go and say, so where are the people who can actually do that? It's like, well, I don't really know anything about making the bag or anything, but I know that if I had that bag round, my hands wouldn't get dirty or something. You know what I mean? So
Travis
then,
is chewing his chips into a round shape as we're talking
yeah.
right now.
Wow, I didn't even realize Travis had the Doritos.
It was perfect. It was
So,
perfect.
yeah, it's totally there. But you see what I
On
mean?
point.
Like you figure out the problem, and if only there was a group of people you can just say it to, and it could be done. And that's pretty much like what I
Yeah.
envisioned that a safe network of, like, imagine there was like 20 developers. You can just
Yeah.
talk to all of them and then a few of them gang up on the problem and solve it for everybody publicly.
That's it.
So I think that's a reality. Like when SafeCoin reaches like $1, imagine we can fund 20 developers who just build everything that people come up with.
It sounds like
Yeah, I see things going that way.
it sounds utopic, but realistic, unlike most utopic ideas.
You mean utopian?
Utopian. Sorry. Yes.
Well,
It
it's
sounds
gonna
utopian, but
no,
like
no, no. But
feasible.
Brady,
Feasible
it comes at a
utopian.
cost. Like someone, so let's say 20 20 developers come online to build the decentralized developer team or something, and we crowdfund each of them for 50 grand for the year, and each safe coin is $1 or more, and so it's an affordable thing to crowdfund $1 million for 20 coders. And now every time you have an idea and you need code help, you can query that community, you can query that group, and they will build it for you. And in the process, it's open source, so it goes to the community essentially. So it's like,
I'm loving everything that's happening with crowdsource. It's amazing that people are connecting on more of a realistic level rather than focusing on the bottom line, and that's what's really all about. It's
exactly. Brilliant. You know, like what comes to mind is Apple. They had that touchscreen iPad in the 1980s, but they didn't launch it or something, right?
Yeah.
Or like they didn't get it right, they didn't get it correct, whatever the legend is. But the point is that Apple developed tons and thousands of things that no one gets to see or use or even hear of.
Yeah.
So there's a redundancy. Everyone has to do everything twice. So why can't we just do it once, release it for the public? You see what I mean?
Because of patents and copyrights, it's important. It's important for us to be greedy, don't you?
No, but in a crowdsourced developer environment, Brady, imagine the whole Apple company was crowdfunded.
Yeah, it would have been epic.
I mean,
nothing
like
short
literally,
of epic.
No. The governance was crowdfunded. Let's say, so that means everything that's a part of that company is also in the public in the open source. So you don't have to do things twice.
That's the amazing thing. It's what's happening right now is we're seeing the emergence of open source governance, which is something that has never happened in the history of humanity.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. That's it in a nutshell. It's beautiful. I didn't mean to cut you off. You're muted, by the way.
I don't mind crowdfunding government, but what I like about the crowdfunding idea is I can say no. I don't want to fund that project.
That's the point. That is the point. That is open source crowdfunding, open source governance. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to participate in that because it's bunk.
No, but what if you can't? What if you just can't participate?
Well, that's problems guys like you are solving right now, and that's the beauty of everything that's happening right now. It's real. It's connected. It's no BS. It's like, hey, it is what it is. If you like it, participate. If you don't, F off and go do your own thing. Because if you can think of it better, fork it.
And make it your taste.
Exactly. Perfectly said. That's the beauty of all of this. Which forks terrify some people. I'm not going to mention any names, but some people in this world are terrified by forks, and it's nothing short of entertaining to watch.
Well, they can fork off.
I knew someone was going to say it. I knew it.
I
was setting them up, and someone had to knock him down, and it was Travis.
Thanks, man.
I think that's a T-shirt one too. It just says "fork off" and it has the GitHub fork thing on it.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys make those shirts, I'll buy them. Even if it's $25 to $30, I'll be like, you know what? That's a good shirt. Even if it cost you $5 to make, I'll buy it because It's
I'll produce one,
crowdfunding.
and that'll be one of the first contracts on SafeX.
All right. As long as you go
Fork
buy
off
my music.
t-shirts.
As long as you go buy my music, I'll buy the shirt.
Hey, there we go. I will trade you
Yeah.
a fork off T-shirt for your music. There you
Yeah,
go.
and that should be
Exactly.
that should be possible.
Yep. My music is for sale right now.
We don't need
I,
any
I have a
money.
tipping address. That's how it's for sale. You're just like, hey, I like that. I'm gonna tip him.
Yeah. Well, I want to tip you a T-shirt.
I'll take it. I'll take that T-shirt, and I'll serenade you for an hour straight for a T-shirt.
That's a deal. Sold.
Just come to sessions. I'll be playing. I'll probably be playing for a few hours because people have to tell me to shut up.
No, but in all kind of seriousness, really, again, this sort of plays into the whole theme of this conversation because it goes back to this whole point. There's inevitably there may be fault, there probably will be faults because it's going to be whatever works for people. Do you know what I mean? As far as using the analogy earlier on, when you're on a beach and you walk down with $20 and it's not the guy wants a pair of trainers, it doesn't matter how much you try to sell him the $20, he's not going to buy it. And that's the point. This is which I was mentioning earlier on, which is the discussion is how do we make any whether it's safe coin, whether it is, whatever coin it may be, or anything, how do we get it out to the masses and get them to use it? And that's the thing. So if let's take the worst case scenario, MaySafe doesn't make it, okay, well someone will fork it off and make a new one and start again.
Fork off.
I don't think we have to think that way, so to speak.
No,
Because
I'm not saying.
I don't think it's something we need to factor into our calculations that the
Nope.
SAFEnetwork doesn't work. When we discuss SAFEnetwork, it has to just assume it works. Otherwise, we have nothing to talk about, really. You know what I mean?
No, sorry, Daddy. Sorry, what I meant was, for instance, if say someone held all the safe coins that were available, and basically one person held it, and then we go, okay, well, we fork it off and we start our own currency then, because if someone's going to hold the money, whatever's useful for the people, surely.
Start over till it's done right.
What we were Rob, or his name's Neo on the forum. He was helping me calculate the SafeX coins, the final distribution, and so at the end we already concluded the amounts. I just need to publish them. But the thing is, he said if we're off by too much, I hope there won't be a mutiny or whatever. So we have to make sure we're correct. And I said, look, if we're incorrect and we need to mutinize, I'm gonna lead the mutiny, and we're gonna fork the SafeX coin and make it right. You know what I mean? So it's like if things aren't right, I think if you're logical and objective, whatever you were a part of before, you're gonna lead the way into the correct way. You know what I mean? So it's like. So if something goes wrong, you just pack up all your shit and keep moving, right? Just pack it all up and then move on to the next fork or whatever. So, it just seems like a perfect system, I think, where you could just wrap it up and then move to the new fork. Like with Bitcoin.
Fork along.
Yeah, fork along. In Bitcoin, if it's up to the nodes, if they all change the software, it means it's forked, and there's no going back. There's no recourse. You know what I mean? So if enough people just pick it up and just go with something new, fork along, then that's what happens. Yeah.
Man, I've got 2 T-shirts to make now.
Yep. I'll buy them both.
Yeah. No, we're trading. We're trading.
That's buying. Time is money.
Okay, you're right.
Time is money. We're like, hey, we're spending money right now because we're having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Real money, though, the kind of value that children understand. Like, hey, time is money. Now play a freaking game with me, Dad.
But but I was trying to say though, it's always going to come down to, and that's why I was trying to say, well, whether it's a chosen fork like we were just discussing then, or whether it's again, it's always going to come down to, and that what is needed, what the people require, and that's going to be the winners are going to be the early winners are going to be the ones that have the, for want of a better word, the currency that everybody's using, the resource that everybody's using. And that's what we were discussing through this podcast. How do we get it out to the average person so they can start using SafeCoin, or they can start using, say, anything. That's going to be the key, and which plays into what as we were discussing last time in last ANTS meeting, which is the whole thing. Make the solution easier than the current solution that's available to people. If you can get the ease of use done, then you've got a fair chance of making that, say, SafeCoin distributed to everybody, which then gives it a good chance of developing its own ecosphere and winning in the future.
I don't know if I mentioned it. Did I mention about how I was in the bank and then I realized the problem with Bitcoin is everybody needs to become their own banker?
Yeah.
Did I mention that before?
You've talked about that before, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it makes total sense. It makes total sense because, I mean, it needs to be simple. Everything needs to be simple. I mean, all these technologies are wonderful, but they're only useful if they're simple enough for everyone to use.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It has to be easier than the current solution they've got. And if you can do that...
buttons.
Grandma buttons? Is that what we were talking about
Yeah,
last time?
Grandma
but
just...
the banks are impossible to use as it is. You need to deal with people, like, with every step. You have to deal with, not with the people you're trading with. You have to deal with the people you don't know. I think that's the issue with the banks. So I think once people get into Bitcoin and they have them, I mean, not for trading for dollars, but like, let's say, in-person trading. Like, not remote trading for dollars.
This is technically in-person trading, though. That's the beauty of all of
Right.
this, is like now we can do that.
That's right, Brady. The way you do that between yourself and Travis would be in person. We don't need to go to the bank to do this.
Exactly. It's perfect.
So that's easy. But Bitcoin doesn't. Bitcoin makes that possible, but it doesn't make it the easiest.
No, but
you see what I mean? Like, Bitcoin makes it possible, but it's not easy.
It's a step in the right direction, and it'll always be a useful tool, but there's going to be better things. But
nothing else allows you to do that. Nothing else yet allows you to do that, where there's no external party involved with your trade.
Yeah. There still is.
Or like,
we don't have it quite perfected yet, but it's going to get there. I say within 10 years, like, everything's going to be exactly like we all want it to be, because we all want it to be, and when you want something bad enough, it happens.
That's true. There's another million people who are making this happen.
Yep. And it's amazing. That's yeah. Go ahead.
Shoot, there's a giant truck coming.
Well, don't hit it. The roads are icy here. I was sliding all over the road just trying to get back here in time. I was late because the roads were icy. It's fun. I have a vehicle. It's like skis with a steering wheel. You're just like.
Well, Daniel, if you're still there, can you hear us, my friend?
Yeah, he's got. Okay.
He's still there. He's still there. Our hearts just stopped, dude. We're like, wait, where is he? He was talking and then he stopped.
Yeah, I'm muted so you guys wouldn't have to hear the giant truck passing by.
So my heart jumped into my mouth thinking, oh no. The last thing you said, Daniel, was like, I can see a large truck coming. I'm like,
wait, he's actually doing stuff in this world. Don't go yet.
Yeah.
But go on, but anyway, I mean, is there anything else particular, Daniel, that you want to, while you're here and you want to talk about, or?
We're all ears.
Yeah, not right now. I mean, I'm gonna get settled, and then I'll be more more accessible than right now. I'm kind of hustling to put everything together. You know what I mean? So, but then uh, but then I won't have any interferences for quite some time, which will be amazing. You
Perfect,
know what I
man.
mean? So, and huge shout out to everybody who, contributed to the crowd sale, who helped me along the way with promoting the crowd sale and stuff. And that's a big thing. I think all future crowd sales will be as successful or more so because I broke the ice. It's like
Mhm.
it's not a weird thing anymore. So that's gonna be awesome to see that we've got a hustling and bustling group that is delivering applications on this safe network. That's pretty serious.
Well, what's going to be awesome is when we start sessions, I'm going to be like branching off just small chunks of every little project and every little session to go to specific projects that I support. And I think everyone already knows what projects all of us support, so we know where those funds are going to go. And we're going
Yeah,
to take blockchains and just connect them together, like just everywhere. Spread it
and if
out
and if we're lucky, and
and
if we're
let's go.
lucky, the applications will they will make returns in such a way that we'll have perpetual development happening, where like the crowd sales might be automatically funded through the distributions of app developer coins. You know
I'll
what
be
I mean?
honest though, you say this
Yeah,
like you're hoping it's gonna happen, and quite frankly, as long as it's being done right, it's already happening. So
yeah.
we're here. We're
Well,
here. It's not gonna happen. We're here.
yeah. I mean, I'm saying it like I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it. It's
me too.
to watch things happen. I mean, to talk about things, it's like, yeah, this could be, but we're talking about things that are happening, and that's what's so exciting about all this. We're like, wow, okay, we're doing things. Let's move.
Yeah, Brady. I hope to get a chance to learn more about sessions and figure out how I can help.
Quite frankly,
In,
you already
in
know everything you need to know. We're exchanging our time. That's all. If you want to boil everything down, we're just like coming together like we are right now. But instead of just having a conversation, we're all exchanging resources that are used for very specific purposes, and that's what sessions is. And I may only be tipping people Bitcoin, but I'm establishing Bitcoin payment addresses that can be tied to any altcoin, any network, any blockchain, and can be used for the future. Like I'm connecting, I collect email addresses because that's what you do to stay connected with people. In a previous system, we're moving on to a new system where payment addresses are even more significant than email addresses ever were. So I'm just collecting Bitcoin addresses because they can translate into any address and be used for any network, and it's going to be nothing short of amazing. And that's my point of sessions, is to show people, hey, this is just what we all need to be doing because this is what's happening. And here's the technology. Here's how you use it. Here's a really fun application for it. Music. Everyone likes
yeah,
music.
that's perfect.
That's it. That's my perspective in a nutshell.
No, man. I mean, that's a perfect way to sort of round this meeting up. And I just want to say, again, I don't, Daniel. We talk about a lot of things, but one of the things that I'm really looking forward to this year, and I said this before, is that all this is going to be based upon the foundations that you put in this safe exchange up, which is a huge step forward. I mean, that's a lot of the projects that we're all working on. I don't think we can all say it enough how grateful we are that someone like you said, has gone out there, broken the ice, and built this stuff. Because it's like I said before, it's a massive, huge step forward, and I can never thank you enough. And I think, for future time and generations, whoever's going to hear this in the future, man, I think we need to know that people right now, some of us are grateful that you're building it right now, because future generations, man, are going to be very thankful for these days and what you built now. So that's to be said.
Well, hope we put all this in the safe network.
Damn right, my friend. Well, Brady, my man, tell us the name of this tune, what it's called, and we'll play out with it, my friend.
This one, this is the Battle Within. it's about not only the battle within, but it's the conflict and internal like trauma and trouble that everyone deals with when they deal with real world problems that affect them internally. And everything's always this push and pull thing externally and internally. So this I like to write things like a Rorschach test. So I do this external internal thing with all my lyrics and all my songs, and then I have this very emotional sound, tone, and feel to all the songs to kind of mimic that perspective. So that's what this is. That's what all my songs are. It's a Rorschach test. When I'm done playing, before session starts, and I just grab my contact info. Everyone should know who I am. If not, we can do that. I don't know if I put my banner up. I probably didn't today. Anyway, I'll you all will see me during sessions. You can go to my website, sessions.media, and not .com, it's sessions.media, because we have all those cool new ones here. This is it. This is Sessions. This is Life is People, and it quite frankly is. So here you go. Here's a people right here, plucking strings, playing a song called "The Battle Within."
Life is people.
How does that sound?
Perfect, man. Life is people.
I'm gonna give you all a little reverb just to make it all intense. Because you all guys, everyone likes intense music and intense movies, so we're gonna make this intense. Wars are started every day. Some will say that they are necessary. Some don't know what they are fighting about. Some will say that they are fighting proud. They won't let go of the battle that they hold. This reason can't you understand? They'll hollow me and they'll hollow hatred washes through their closed minds. If we could only stop the time, we would let go and walk away from the world that has now grown cold. Cover up mistakes they make, break and take your soul. And then when I look back and think they made them out to be hollow, round and round and down and out. Now take it back, now turn around.
Brady, I just had a thought. Like, if you just kept playing and never stopped, we would sit here and keep watching and never stop.
Really, really,
Yeah.
I'm getting the excellent
Yeah.
ideas.
That was awesome. I was really like pulled into this. I was in. Yeah, that was cool. Bravo.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Perfect,
so
man.
much.
That's
Yeah,
an older.
perfect.
timing.
That's an older song. I'm finally getting into like production. Like I have all these songs in my head, but no one else gets to hear them because they're only in here right now, and I've been working on them for like literally like 5 years. So everyone's finally hearing that. So I hope you enjoy
That's
it.
awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brady, man. You know what I mean. Since we're still going live, man. Feel free to play another one, man. I'm quite like Daniel just said, man. I could quite happily sit here, you know, and listen to another one.
You know
So-
what? This is an older song. This is "The Battle Within." Just to reiterate, if anyone's curious, but I'll play another older one. Just if I like to be very open about all my music. I'm playing in drop D tuning right now, just a nice basic drop D. So if anyone wants to like, fork this, fork you. If you're not gonna fork it,
Fork line,
because
fork line.
because quite frankly, music. The music is the first forkable language, so let's like keep forking it. This is another old one. This is called Inside Out. This is probably one of the first songs I really took seriously, like studio-wise, and tried to sit down and record. I sucked then. There is a good recording of this song when I first was starting this, but my recording and audio skills are a lot better these days. So, quite frankly, this is probably going to be the better of versions that have ever been recorded. So I hope everyone enjoys this live.
Perfect.
Feel that notion now in motion. You feel emotion like the ocean's breeze. It carries me away. It carries me away. Carries me away. Oh, it carries me away. Don't say maybe, probably, lately I won't hold you down. Don't say maybe, probably, lately I won't hold you down. Oh, no, you see me, do you believe me?
shout, and